do you want to speak to your other amendment at the same time?
No, I want to do this one first.
Well, I'm going to keep on taking speakers and we'll come back to this. So Councillor Lee, Brewer, Wood, Cooper and Watson.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I want to acknowledge the leadership of Mayor Len Brown in this matter. And yes, it goes back a number of years, and I agree with the fulsome praise and acknowledgement of Bevan Woodward, who is a visionary, who was passionately committed to this project, and who was the architect, the original architect of the PPP approach. And had he not done that, we wouldn't be here today. So I want to acknowledge Bevan. I go back some years with Bevan. He was an Auckland Regional Council officer, and then after he left, he became passionately committed to what he called getting across. And yes, I did participate in that public event, and it was 2009. It was the 50th birthday of the Harbour Bridge, and the good people of Auckland took it into their minds to celebrate in their own special way by walking past Wayne McDonald, who was bellowing through a bullhorn to go back, and all walked across the bridge. And yes, there was a debate, technical debate about the gradient and how it would be extremely dangerous to cycle up and especially down. And I managed to get a shot on my new iPhone of a toddler really on a three-wheeler trike, and sent it off to my good friend Brian Roche, the chief executive of was it Transit or NZTA at that time. I want to also acknowledge my colleagues in the former Auckland Council Transport Committee, because a lot of heavy lifting was done in 2011 and 12, and we certainly needed the Mayor on deck to carry those votes through. I want to also acknowledge the Council Transport Planning team at the time, which ably supported the committee, led by Kevin Wright, and Marguerite Pearson was part of his very bright young team of officers. So I want to thank them both. I also want to thank NZTA and Stephen Town in particular for opening the door to let this happen, because at a number of stages along the way, including those committee meetings, this could have been killed stone dead, and it would have been back to square one. It was sent by the council quite properly to Auckland Transport. Again, there was a near-death experience there, but it managed to come through, and because of a last-minute rescue attempt, we managed to get it out of Auckland Transport and back to Auckland Council, and it was wisely sent on to Brett O'Reilly at AT, who carried the torch and worked with Marguerite. I just want to recognise the significance of this decision, hopefully that we will pass. I think Councillor Darby has mentioned that a couple of weeks ago there was an opening of a kilometre-long temporary cycleway along Quay Street. You can cycle along Quay Street anyway right now, but half the cabinet turned up, led by the Prime Minister, to celebrate this particular event. And this sky path is about the same length, except it's across the bridge where no one can walk or cycle. And so this is a major significant change for the amenity and transport systems of Auckland. And when you think about it, going back to another very important ceremony back in June, led by the Mayor and the Prime Minister again, and that was the CRL. And this really is the CRL for walking and cycling. Right. This will be, if we get this through, the first time that the people of Auckland can walk and cycle across the Auckland Harbour Bridge. Yes, it could have happened 60 years ago, but decisions were made at the last minute to cut out that option. And I think there is some resonance with decisions around airport rail in regard to that. And I think we need to hold to our visionary Auckland plan in regard to that matter. So I urge my fellow councillors to support the recommendations. I thank John Duncan and his team and the finance team and the council for the work they're doing and wish them every success. We will give you full support, and when it comes to next year, and I take the point, I'm sure the government will be looking at, the political parties will be falling over themselves to compete and getting a better deal for walkers and cyclists and the people of Auckland in regard to this. So let's go forward. Thank you very much.
Right, Councillor Brewer and Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've been following this project relatively closely, and my concerns have always been around potential overexposure for present and future ratepayers, both at a construction capex level and at an operational level as well. And after the session today, and after all the material we have been given to date, I genuinely believe that the risks have been and will be minimised as much as they can be in a commercial public-private partnership arrangement as could ever be expected. As one officer said to me not so long ago, the cap and collar safeguards are in place. Yes, we might be liable if patronage forecasts are not completely reached, but then again on the other side, if they are magnificently exceeded in time, there may well be a dividend there for council, who knows. And what a fabulous PPP to enter in with as far as the HRL Morrison and Co Public Infrastructure Partnership Fund. That, and I hear what you're saying about it's not the original, Councillor Clow, and I would argue that perhaps Vector Arena, which is a build, own, operate, transfer public-private partnership, is also another one as well. But as far as a signature PPP, and I think in 2010 many of us put on our manifestos that we're all for PPP. Well, this is arguably a great company to be doing business with and a great model to showcase to Auckland what can be achieved with a PPP, and hopefully it will garner confidence not only in the PIP fund, the Morrison Group, but others to come forward. I still have some concerns about, as the Residents Association has raised and others, about the load that it could put on Westhaven and Northcote Point. And I do accept what's been said as far as this is just a small part of a bigger circuit. But nonetheless, there will be a lot of people taking their kids there and paying the fare and going over for the novelty, parking up and going back, taking their visitors and so forth. And so we can't escape the fact that not everyone's going to be just passing on through as a light user. There will be a lot of people, which will be great for the wider community and for the project, that will park up and put a load on that infrastructure, and as a council we must keep a watchful eye on how we manage that and give that commitment to both the users of Westhaven and the Northcote Point community, that will not run amok, that will be ongoingly monitored and measured. I also remain, Mr. Chair, concerned that the forecasts have in some regards may be seen and may be viewed as overly heroic. And one I have pulled out today was the fact that the forecasts are predicated on a sunny Saturday in summer. One person every 6.5 seconds will enter this facility. That's over 8,700 a day, and I'd like to think that that's going to be reached, but we have to be realistic about such forecasts. Look, I'm confident to and pleased to support this. given the expertise that we have around it, given that the commercial nous and leadership that we have in and around our executive leadership team, and given that there will be an opportunity in the annual plan 17-18 for this to be discussed again, and for the public and for the councillors to see the numbers, that fiscal envelope in absolute terms in our financials. And if anyone wants to go out on the hustings over the next 2 or 3 months, promoting that they will be going in, making sure this is inactivated, ratified in the annual plan, then good luck to them. That is great. And conversely, if anyone says that they will be getting elected to shut this down in the annual plan, then they also have that opportunity too. So I just want to address one issue that's been raised by submitters, that some of us put too much scrutiny in these kind of projects when we are such a multi-billion dollar per annum business. And there was the $40 million Glenfield Road expansion that was cited in a $50 million Albany Road project. But I suppose the difference there is that those numbers are set in budgets, whether it's the RLTP or the LTP or whatever, and people can see them. Here, there has been a lot of calculated risk and a lot of numbers that we've had to deduce from forecasts and like, which make it arguably, even while it's a lesser numerical amount, it makes it a little scarier as far as trying to predict the risk on the residential ratepayer. But that envelope is while the numbers remain somewhat grey, the envelope is somewhat absolute, and that has been given to us black and white today when we have challenged different scenarios at where ratepayers could be exposed at both operational and capital levels. So look, I'm happy to support this, but I would just like to leave the members with this closing remark, is that there has been, and rightfully so, a lot of love and attention and araha to our youth groups, our public transport bloggers, our Generation Zero, and our tertiary students, and I'm all for that. But I think the next administration, while harnessing that relationship that's been built with those groups, also now needs to reach out to our residents and ratepayers groups across the region, because I believe that is where we now need, and the next council needs to really re-establish its relationships, its confidence and its dialogue, is with our ratepayers and our residents groups. And so I hope that in the next administration, a greater balance when those groups put their hands up for issues is certainly achieved, and that is the desired outcome. So I wish the project all the best, and I congratulate the project organisers and managers and negotiators to date and proponents on what they've achieved.
Thank you, Councillor.